We're not making any money at all for this. This is a fan review of a film that came out in the 2000s and the 7s.
There's nothing more that I love than a nice fresh pot of chili. So delicious, so yummy, except the aftermath, and the doctor's visit, and the bills, and the plumbing. Oh, it's worth it though. I wonder... It's still cold, and it's been cooking for the past 3 minutes. Maybe I need to warm it up just a little bit. Oh boy, that means it's working fast. Okay, oh gosh,
Was that Delmar? Delmar, what happened?
Oh, hot. Man, that is burning. Oh, hi Black Cross, how you doing?
Never mind that. What happened? I heard as though if you had a nightmare or something.
Oh, the chili's good. You can still eat it, you just gotta cool down.
Never mind the chili. What happened to you?
Oh, me? Well... Due to some flaming issues, the chili caught my shirt on fire and it is completely disintegrated. Can you go to my room and grab a shirt for me, please?
I've got something. Let's see here now. Nope.
Can you hurry up, please? I'm freezing really badly.
I think I need to update my wardrobe. Here it is. Here.
Ooh. Hey, I actually like this. My belly button is showing, and it comes with these 2 little pocket chest things so I could put some sandwiches in there. But preferably marmalade sandwiches. But this is really nice here. It belonged to you?
Yeah, it did, and I didn't really wear it that much.
Oh, well, if it's really well, why is there a red dot?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, but I thank you so much, but... Oh, shoot.
What? What'd you do?
I forgot to turn off the oven!
You forgot to turn off the oven?
Yeah, the stove, the chili that was on the stove, I forgot to turn up. Oh. My feet's on fire. That's part of the flames.
You forgot to turn off the oven!
Oh, there's the. I was waiting for the fire alarms. The fire alarms just came down.
You forgot to turn off the frickin' oven!
Oh, and there's the sprinklers. That's lovely. Don't go in there. You know, it's just sprinklers. I could just take it back here. Hello and welcome everyone to the Marr Show. Happy 50th episode everyone. Even though it's been now 6 years since I started this channel, it's surprising to see me going on to making my 50th episode and still making some to this day hopefully. And I want to thank everyone, even if you just started watching the Marr Show, I do thank you for giving my videos a shot and just seeing me express my opinions on some of the stuff that I love. And as you can see, I kind of decorated my shelf with some, not all, but some of my favorite stuff that I've reviewed over the course of the years that I've been doing the Marr Show. And this is also a special occasion because a few months ago, last year, I started a poll for people to vote on what they want me to review for the 50th episode of the Marr Show. Nearly 40 people voted on what they want me to review for the 50th episode of the Marr Show. I can't thank anyone enough for even just going to vote, because that shows that there are people out there who are interested, even if it's just one person who just made 38 different straw poll accounts. I thank you guys for giving my show a shot and choosing what I should review for the 50th episode. And that is on Thomas and Friends' Journey Beyond Sodor, the 2017 special. However, before I get to the review in question, I want to talk a little bit about the Thomas community and the show itself, and just what's been going on with the whole franchise of Thomas the Tank Engine. 2017 was a tough year for me. Well, I mean, it was a great year for me. It was great. But as a Thomas fan, it was kind of difficult because there was a lot of changes going on to the show, with the changes like the pacing of the show, of how the stories was going to be told, not to mention the fact that this year, in fact, we're getting another reboot of Thomas the Tank Engine, but this one is more drastic, changing the whole format, narrative, just changing a lot of stuff that's making a lot of fans confused, angry, and just mixed. I'm not going to say anything about Big World, Big Adventures until it comes out because that's what I like to do. I want to watch it first before I give my actual opinions, but I don't think it'll be like anything superb compared to like season 20 or even the past years. It's just been a different experience, and it just seems so sudden to change the show that's been going on for 30 plus years now into this new direction that some people probably even didn't even want it in the first place. And not to mention the fact that the Thomas community itself has changed drastically. Not only have fans revolted around the changes going on with Mattel, but fans has just been arguing, some disagreeing with others' opinions, some who there's just been so much anger and negativity around the fan base that I even did a vlog about it last year, and unfortunately it's still kind of a problem. But what started all this? Aside from Big World, Big Adventures, well, for me, it started when the first trailer of Journey Beyond Sodor was revealed. If you look at the trailer, just not even knowing of the show or anything, you might think it looks harmless, you know, just showing Thomas going on an epic journey to the mainland and stuff. And it's kind of a generic film, you know, that's what some people will think. But to people who loves the show, loves the books, loves everything Thomas related, there was stuff hinted in the trailer that made people angry. Well, specifically one type of thing, but I'll get to that later on in the review. But unfortunately, during the course as the film was getting out, a lot of people getting angry, and when the film did came out, you talk about mixed reactions everywhere. There were people who did like it, not thinking it was the greatest Thomas film ever made, but still enjoyed it, and some who just hated every single frame in the film. And me personally, I liked the film. It's not anything great, it's not like my personal favorite Thomas film, that goes to Tale of the Brave still, but it's not one of the most hated films ever. I don't think it's that bad, and I don't think it deserves that much hate. Yes, there's a few changes going on that was very noticeable in the film, but as a Thomas film in general, it's not anything that I don't think is needing to cause so much outrage itself. Although to be fair, without the whole controversial thing in the film, the plot itself is kind of basic but also interesting for a Thomas story. Henry's about to take a goods train over to the mainland but gets in a very horrifying accident. The Fat Controller decides to choose James for this job. However, this goes into James' head, thinking he's the top that has #1 favorite engine, and boasting about it to Thomas. In return, Thomas decides to take the goods train early in the morning, leaving James to do his branch line work. As Thomas goes through the mainland, he comes through a bunch of different interesting characters, including the experimental engines, a crane named Beresford, and then ends up in the steelworks with Hurricane and Frankie. They seem like a friendly bunch. Hurricane agrees to help Thomas take his goods train over to the main yard that his destination is leading to, but in return, Thomas has to help them with the work. It turns out that Hurricane and Frankie are trying to keep Thomas captive to help them with the heavy work in the steelworks. So the main goal of the story is that James is trying to find Thomas to bring him back to Sodor, and Thomas is trying to escape from the steelworks to head back to Sodor. The plot itself is actually not that bad. We haven't really seen a whole thing about Thomas or an engine being held captive, being forced to do work on another railway. I mean, I know Thomas got held captive in the diesel works, but this is a whole nother thing in general. Plus, I'd rather forget about that film as much as possible. The whole film itself isn't really that bad. In fact, to be fair, one of the major complaints that some people has had with the past few Thomas specials is that there's too many subplots going on. There's like 4 or 5 in a lot of them, but here it's basic to where there's only 2 plot lines, with Thomas trying to get out of the steelworks and then James trying to find Thomas to get him back to Sodor. And it works well. I think the narrative flows very well. We also have some interesting characters that are pretty good. Some I do like and some that I feel are kind of forgettable. Of course, you got Hurricane and Frankie. Hurricane, I do like him because he's trying to be a friendly engine, and you can tell he just wants to have a helping hand and an extra friend to help him with the work. Frankie, on the other hand, I was kind of mixed about. You could tell she just wants Thomas to be a slave, technically, to do all the work, boss him about, even to the point where not calling him by his name Thomas. And Frankie, I think there could have been more time in which Frankie could be, a bit more sensitive, We also have the experimental engines, Theo, Lexi, and Merlin. Theo and Lexi, they're fine. They didn't really stick out much to me personally, but I could definitely see why some people like them, although Lexi's whole doing different voices saying, it gets kind of old after a while, but to be fair, comparing to I do voices a lot, that's, hypocritical on my end at least. Although there are two characters in this movie that I really like. One of them is Merlin. He's just an all-around happy engine who's just so bursting of energy, and unfortunately we don't really get to see a whole lot of him. I mean, he's hinted out earlier in the film, but we don't really get to see him a whole lot, and I wish there was a bit more screen time for him personally. But I just love his whole invisibility ability, and it's just a swell, fun engine overall. And then another character is the new Crane of Beresford. I know there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna say, why do you like him? He's pointless, he has nothing to the story. And you're right, he doesn't really, if you take him out of the film, nothing will really be changed. There will be no inconsistencies because his scenes are pointless, he adds nothing to the story. However, he has character, and I think he's a really fun character overall. Being this Crane who's lonely, is just wanting a friend, and unfortunately kind of forces Thomas to try to be his friend by, blocking a ship in front of him, or coupling him up with his hook to lift him up, which is really, really stupid. But I just really like the Beresford. Yes, he's pointless, but he's a fun character. I loved how he just wanted to be his friend, and to be fair, I think he's kind of cuckoo. Then again, being the only Crane in this isolated part with engines come and go, I can understand being a little cuckoo crazy, being lonesome all that time. So I actually really did enjoy his parts, regardless if they add nothing to the story at all. And this film, much like The Great Race, is also a musical. The songs in this one I think are really good. I think everyone agrees that The Hottest Place in Town is the best song in the movie. In fact, I even have it on my MP3 player because it just sounds really good and funky. Yes, I said funky, shut up. And I also enjoyed Who's Thomas. That's actually probably my favorite song. It's really hard to choose because both of them sound good. As for the animation, I really enjoyed it. With ARC animations, they just improve so much. Like each season and special they do, they just keep improving the animation quality, and I like it. However, there is one downside, as when this film was in production, ARC Animations filed for bankruptcy. But luckily, Jamfield Studios helped it with finishing the rest of the animation, as well as getting most of ARC's animators to join the staff, as well as to being the future animation company to do the Thomas series animation. And you can kind of tell a little bit because there's a few scenes, mostly where Thomas is crossing the bridge over to the mainland. You can tell that there's a few trees missing. It's not as brightly detailed, or it looks very plain. However, with the fact that they had 1 month behind schedule on the film is understandable, but I didn't really have anything else or anything that seemed out of place in terms of animation, and the film itself is one of the best animated Thomas films out there. It's just bursting with colors. The lighting is improved so much. The steelworks itself is beautiful, especially as Thomas is puffing towards it. You could just see how massive it is, and it's probably one of the best looking new locations they added in recent years in the CGI series. So yeah, the film is just your casual Thomas film. Ever since Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, I knew the specials weren't gonna overtop themselves, so The Great Race was okay, and Journey Beyond Sodor was good, but not anything spectacular. And it's just your basic Thomas film. It's really good, the writing itself is amazing, I love the voice acting, everything just works well. So why is everybody hating on it? Well, for obvious reasons, but there's two major reasons why. If you watch this film and say Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure back to back, you'll notice that with Journey Beyond Sodor, it's a lot more faster paced. The story itself seems to be told in a lot more faster pace. There's so much stuff going on more cartoony antics, like seeing the engines, trying to hide from the bushes, or even just seeing the weird zaniness during the What Can't We Do music video. There just seems to be more stuff going on, more distractions. Not saying there weren't like any cartoony antics during the previous CGI episodes, but this one feels a lot more faster paced, where if you look at like season 17 or season 19, or heck even during some of the Thomas specials and all that, it's a lot more slower paced, not too many distractions going on, or less cartoony antics going on. But the biggest controversy about this film is that if you look at the animation and some of the scenes, this is a special that has introduced the engines bouncing. Okay, stop, hold it. Who invented bouncing? I'm being serious. Who invented the term bouncing? Yes, the engines, they're wobbling back and forth and bouncing, but yes, stop calling it that. It's silly. Instead, yes, replace the term bouncing with body language, because that's what it is. The engines expressing themselves with the boilers walking back and forth and stuff. I made a video last year talking about my thoughts on the first trailer of Journey Beyond Sodor, and in that video, I talked about the experimental engines, you know, body language movie and stuff. And I was thinking it was only implying to the experimental engines because they have a few loose stuff, you know, being experimental, that they may not have proper gear sets or anything that can hold the boiler stuff together. I was wrong. Not only do the experimental engines' bodies move, but so does every engine. A lot of hardcore fans cannot watch this movie strictly because of the engine's body language. And personally, I don't understand why, because I actually like it. It's something different, but to be fair, it's a good kind of different, because it gives the engines more personality. Because let's face it, as humans, we move a lot. With our arms moving, we may have our legs jumping up a joy, have our heads wobbling and stuff, because it's just part of our whole thing of us expressing more. Because if we're excited about something, we raise our hands in joy and being so energetic. And when we get angry, we get so frustrated, we clap our fists, we smack our hands in anger and just stomp our feet in rage. And I think for engines, I think it can work the same way. And I think this just gives the engines more personality. In fact, I think even some kids, like some who may be deaf, can see the engines, like if the engine is moving up and down the laughter, the kid would get, oh, the engine's happy. Or the engine's like wobbling back and forth, they'd be like, oh, the engine's singing in joy or something. I think it just helps explain the personality a bit more. Is it weird? Yes. When I first saw it, it was odd seeing the engines bouncing. And to be fair, after looking at it's grown a little bit. If they want to keep the engine's body language, I'll be fine. If they scrap it, I think it's just them trying to be experimental, and I think it also works because it gives the animators more time to go all out with their animations and to, you know, be more expressive while animating the engines. There is one thing I will admit I disliked about this method of engines body language, as well as season 21, is how infrequent it is used. There'll be one scene where like James is talking to the Fat Controller and he's standing still, you know, but then the last scene before he puffs out of the Steamworks, he's wobbling and just body language his rage and stuff. If you're gonna use body language, use it all the way. You can't just like stop for like 30 minutes and then another 1 minute of them moving and then another 30 minutes of them doing nothing. I mean, that is inconsistent, especially in season 21. I just don't like inconsistent animations. If you're gonna have the engine's body language, use it throughout. If not, just don't. Unless it's one of those things where like if an engine is neutral, they just stand still, and if they're just like really expressive and like rage, angry, have the boilers move back and forth. I mean, that part I can understand, but still it's very inconsistent, and I know some people don't like the inconsistency of that. So Journey Beyond Sodor is a good film. If I had to rank it, it will be probably like in the middle. It was a lot better than The Great Race, you know, not having so much stuff going on. There was a lot more direct narrative with a simple 2 plots going on in it. The writing itself and the story I liked, the animation's great. I did like the body language. It's odd at first, but it's slowly growing on me, and I'm all for it if they want to go in this direction. However, there's a few flaws I will admit that kind of distract me a little bit, like the inconsistent animation. I wish it was more consistent. I'm up for the body language, but be more consistent with the animation. I think the ending could have been changed a bit more, where like Hurricane and Frankie get a bit more punishment, or Frankie a bit more because she was more of a to Thomas than Hurricane was. And I guess this is just me, but I guess maybe have a few more scenes with Lexi and Theo and Merlin, because, I mean, they had some good screen time, but I think have a little bit more, I would have more care, because again, Theo and Lexi don't really stick out too much, or have more explanation, like maybe they were engines that used to work in the steelworks, but were later shown out, have to be more involved with the whole steelworks thing, instead of just being engines that are left out, deserted in the middle of nowhere, doing nothing. I wish they probably would have incorporated the experimental engines a bit more into the story, in my opinion. Other than that, I don't really have anything else complaining. Then again, I don't try to yuck for all the flaws within the movie. I did enjoy it. It's not anything great, but I think it was a lot better than The Great Race, and it's pretty good. So yes, I enjoyed the journey beyond Sodor, but I know there are some people who have troubles with some of the stuff going on. There are some people who can't stand the engines having body language, or even the whole Big World, Big Avengers. They think it's just a disservice to the original books, to what the Rev Andre intended, and just think it's another version of Thomas that should... Actually, that's probably something that we should look at this as. Just another version. From a simple bedtime story that the Rev Andre told his son Christopher when he had measles, up to this massive, big franchise out there that many people has grown up with and still love, and it's affected millions, even billions of people around the world. And that's something that not every franchise could do. There are actors, movies, characters and stuff that are older than Thomas and stuff, but are completely extinct that no one knows of their existence. And to see something like this tank engine with a face just being so popular and staying relevant for this long is incredible. And I think because of that, there's nothing wrong with trying something different with Thomas. And even if Mattel is doing this change just to try to stay relevant or want to act like Paw Patrol or whatever, I can't blame the talent that's going on, because you still got Jamfield Studios, who's doing beautiful work with the animation for Thomas, and I think they've done fantastic so far. You got still the great voice actors and writers that gave us the best seasons of Thomas in the past few years, and I don't think people should be mad because they're trying some new stuff. I mean, if you like the old stuff, they're not saying you can't go back to it. We got 500 episodes, for crying out loud, of the series. So they're trying something different. They're actually putting effort. And even the show isn't gonna be as good as like season 20 or even season 2. I'm gonna give it credit because it's trying something different. Will it be something that'll stand the test of time? I don't think so. I think it's not gonna last as long or stand out in terms of story purposes compared to like the original books or model series. And yes, even though the cartoony antics can be distracting, it's trying some new stuff that some people wouldn't even think to do with Thomas. Now I know there's some people out there who can't get over these changes, who think this season that is disrespecting what the whole franchise is doing and has laid out over these years. And I will admit, it is tough getting over that, but I don't think this ideal season is doing anything wrong. I mean, seeing Thomas going around the world, seeing the different cultures and so forth, I think that's not bad in itself. It is mixed, but I'm not gonna hate on something because I actually am liking the engine's body language, but if you don't, that is fine. If you don't like what's going on, that is completely fine. If you do like the changes, that's fine. I just don't think we should have so much outrage of anger towards people who do like some of the stuff that's going on, who's interested in Big World, Big Adventures, or likes the engine's body language and stuff. I think some people should like it, and if others don't because it messes what the whole Rev Audrey has attended, that's fine too. Pretty much all I'm getting at is, if you like the changes going on, that's good. If you hate the changes that's going on, that's good. I mean, I don't think it deserves so much anger and outrage. Can we all just get along? You know, talk about stuff that's actually worth talking about and arguing about, like when Nintendo's gonna release the English version of Motherfucker. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. So, if you would like to leave your thoughts in today's video, just comment below. If you liked Journey Beyond Sodor and is looking forward to Big World, Big Adventures, comment. If you don't like the changes and it's just gonna go strictly to the original series, then that's good. Comment as well. Yes, just agree and disagree and not try to hate each other. So that concludes the 50th episode. I'm not sure what the future holds, because now I got so much stuff that I still want to talk about. So I don't see myself stopping at all. So here's to the next 50. Oh, that's right. It's empty.